Also, we asked that if you could please refrain from getting up and down
during the speakers, but if you must, please do so quietly. If you're going to smoke, we ask if you please be away from any of the buildings. Please be respectful as we are guests of the church. Also, if you have any announcements in between speakers, please see the group secretary. Group secretary, please raise your hand. Oh, Johnny on the spot. Okay, our first speaker is Shannon from Orlando. You off guard, didn't I?
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi,
my sobriety date is February 5th, 2007. I have a sponsor, and my sponsor has a sponsor. I am so nervous right now. On the ride over here from Orlando, I had just told Liam, I said, I'm kind of in a funk. I think I'm just going to stop sharing for a while, and I'm just going to listen. And then as we got closer, he was singing about cows and stuff, and I said, you must be nervous, right? And he said, yeah. And then I get here and they're like, do you want to be the 10-minute speaker? I'm like, okay, God, that's funny. Yeah, sure. So anyway, here I am. 10 minutes isn't too long, and I like to go on and on and on, so I'm just going to tell you really briefly that when I first came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I just wanted to stop drinking. I didn't like the person that I was. I have 2 daughters. Right now they're 11 and 8, and I was married, and again, I didn't like the person that I was. It was to the point where I looked in the mirror. I was full of guilt and remorse and shame. And to look at my daughters was hard for me. I was not faithful to my husband, and I wasn't a very good friend. I'd like to say I wasn't a bad mother because I still took care of my kids, and luckily they were so young that they didn't have to see, me drinking a lot. But it was just to the point where I couldn't keep up with the lies. My life was unmanageable, and I knew I had to do something. And I thought that when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, as soon as I put down the drink, I would be this wonderful person, because that's what I was. I was all this huge victim. And what I found was that when I put down the drink, I was still left with me. And what this program has done for me is, I did what was suggested. I got a sponsor. I started working the steps, and my life started to change. I'm not going to say I did everything right, because I didn't. And I still was left with some things that I won't go into because there's not enough time. I did 13th step. He's right there. But it's great today. Anyway, back to what I was saying before that. It was hard, but I did what was suggested for me. And what I found is that by doing what I was told to do, it wasn't always easy. I have been through death. I have been through divorce. I have been through heartache. I have been through births. I have been through, new houses. I've been through watching my kids grow up. I've been through happy times and sad times, and what I found is that I have not had to pick up a drink one day at a time. And for that I'm truly grateful, because I drank when I was sad, I drank when I was happy. I just drank because I could not fill this hole that I had. And for me, when I picked up one drink, I just kept wanting to drink. I had friends who would drink water in between their drinks. I'm like, how do you do that? I tried it for a little bit, one drink, and then I couldn't do it anymore. So, and I tried to control my drinking. I switched to things that I didn't like. Well, after 2 drinks, who cares what it tastes like anyway? So I kept drinking, nothing worked for me. But what I can tell you is one day at a time for a little over 5 years, I haven't had to drink. I have to do this every single day. I can't get by on what I did yesterday. Today, I have to make sure that I take care of my sobriety. It is a daily reprieve. I can tell you the things that I have today that I didn't have. I have self-respect. I have self-esteem. It's not always great, but it's much better than it ever was. I have friends. I'm a good mother. I'm a much better girlfriend. I'm a good daughter. I have a work ethic today. But most importantly, I have a higher power who, without you guys, I wouldn't have found. And that's really why I stay sober, because I truly believe that He works through all of you. So just like tonight in the car, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, he laughs. No, you're not. I'm here. I stay in the middle. I sponsor girls. I chair meetings. I do service work, answer the hotline. I do whatever it takes. And sometimes I don't feel like doing it. I don't. Like I said, I was kind of in a funk, but I do it anyway because that's what keeps me sober. And we had a conversation about miracles too, but for me to watch someone else get the program and to see how their life changes, that's truly amazing. So that probably wasn't 10 minutes, but that's what I've got for tonight. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Shannon. And Brian is going to come up and read the traditions. There you go, sir.
Thank you. I'm Brian, I'm an alcoholic. These are our traditions. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the alcoholics who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible for those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Wes is going to come up and do the chips.
Everybody, my name is Wes Rogers. I'm a recovered alcoholic. And here at the Fourth Dimension Group, we give out chips to celebrate times of recovery. We have a silver chip for anybody who wants to start this way of life one day. All right. Travis. Oh, we got another one. That's Pam. "30 days. All right. That's Mark, everybody. 60 days. 90 days. All right. Lindsay. 6 months. Oh, there we go. Got it. 9 months. 1 year. All right. Got Hiram with 1 year and Sue with 1 year. All right. And we have multiples. All right. Congratulations, everybody.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Liam from Orlando.
Hi everybody, my name is Liam and I'm an alcoholic. Home group is the Central Orlando group, downtown Orlando. And my sobriety date is June 15th, 2009. It's funny, my home group, I sit in the front row so that I don't have to see how big of a meeting it is. And I was just reminded of that just now, that I'm not too fond of the big crowd thing. But some things that you guys already learned about me: I was 13-stepped, and evidently I sing about cows when I'm nervous. I'd forgotten about that until Shannon just reminded me. The ride over here was a lot of fun. And, those of you who have spoken before, you know how it is. I tried to think about what I'm going to say, and then I realized I have no idea what I'm going to say. I just try to remember what I've been told to do, which is tell the truth and carry the message. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Shannon says it might be the first time I tell the truth, but I also try to stick to the format of 10-10-40. I know it's not a whole 60 minutes, but it's been my experience that they don't typically ask non-alcoholics to come up and speak at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, so qualifying doesn't do a whole lot of good, but trying to tell you guys how I got here, and most importantly, what I do on a regular basis to stay sober is. But I guess I got to follow the format anyway. So let me tell you, I was born in Queens, New York. And I went to somewhat of a fancy private school. And when my parents got divorced, I went to go live with my mother. And the money went with my father. And my father stayed in the city, and I took a bus from upstate New York to a town called Tuxedo Park, New York, and that was where my father decided. Those of you who are from the area, you know the money that I'm talking about. And I did not feel like I belonged. I definitely did not live in an area where that kind of money, it didn't happen. So when I went to school, I wasn't rich enough. And when I got off the bus at home, which, by the way, was an hour away, the kids in the neighborhood, they were waiting for the rich kid to get off the bus. So I wasn't accepted in the neighborhood either. And doing the things that I did in that school, they asked me to leave somewhere around 7th grade. And I entered the public school system in Middletown, New York. And again, I did not feel like I fit in. But what I saw were the kids across the street smoking the cigarettes. And back then it was the jean jackets with the heavy metal paintings on the back. And I don't know what, but boy, that looked cool to me. And, it did. That was, so. I had to go and be a part of that. And unfortunately, that's what I did. I went and I quickly learned how to get along with the tough kids. And I felt like I belonged. It was real easy. All I had to do was have a pack of cigarettes. Know how to steal booze from my parents, not care about stealing the booze, and know how to cut out of class. And in this particular public school, it really wasn't all that difficult to do any of the above. And so I fell in with that crowd, and I didn't go to school a whole lot. And when you do the things that I was doing there, you get in a lot of trouble. So I started visiting various rehabs, outward bound projects. My father had very, very good insurance, so really they just sent me from one rehab to the next. And I'm going to skip over a whole lot of drugs. There was an awful lot of drugs as a teenager. And what happened was, with my father's insurance, they ended up sending me to, I think, what was it called, a recreational therapeutic community. You laughed. That was on the sign. That's what it was called, and that was in West Palm Beach, Florida. So evidently, the counselors at that time also believed in the geographical cure, and they sent me very, very far away and thought that if I didn't hang out with the people that I was accustomed to hanging out with, that maybe I might grow up a little bit. And that didn't happen. Prior to that, they tried a Scared Straight program in a town, Ossining, New York. For those of you who've heard the expression "up the river," Sing Sing prison is in Ossining, and that's where that expression comes from. So our morning calisthenic, we had to go out and we had to see the big scary prison. And I have to admit, big scary. I've never been to prison, but it didn't keep me from doing the things that I knew how to do, that I knew how to get along, how to find people to hang out with, feel accepted, and that sort of thing. So, what happened? My father passed away. I inherited what I thought was a lot of money. Turns out it's not. The house, the cars, the money, I burned through it real fast. And shortly after that, I found out that I had a son coming along the way. And I had one of those initial moments of clarity where I said, "Oh damn, I'm going to be a dad." And I dropped out of high school. I didn't have a plan. You know, I'm sure most of you guys know that you just go where the party is, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. But that scared me to the point where I realized I better come up with a plan. I'd been a slumlord for a little bit of while, but I lost the house too. And so I ended up, I was going to go to college. I don't know, I guess I thought that somehow all on its own that was going to happen. Like I said, I didn't have much of a plan. So I was able to, I went to mortuary school. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer. Why is that funny? And a lot of people think that automatically comes with a lot of great drunken stories, and it does. But most of which I can't share. So, the idea being is that I thought that if I went to college and I took the shortcut to get some kind of a respectable career where I had to put on a suit and drive Cadillacs and that sort of thing, that again I might grow up. And that also wasn't the case. Now, I did know that at least that day, that when my son was asked to stand in front of his kindergarten class or whatever grade, where they say, come up and what does mommy and daddy do for a living, I wanted him to have an answer. So that was pretty much my only goal there. I was able to stop doing the drugs. In the book where it talks about, pull your hand away as if it were a hot flame, I knew that from a different program, so I understood what that meant. Okay, I can get that here at AA, that would be nice. But really all I did was I put the drugs down, and alcohol was legal. So I drank a lot. And I really liked it. I shouldn't smile so genuinely just thinking about alcohol, but I guess that's where I go. In Atlanta, I don't remember much of Atlanta. I finished mortuary school, and then in most of the funeral profession, they refer to Florida as heaven's waiting room. And so I figured I could come down here, and I could come down here and I could get a job, and I did. Somebody actually picked me up for an internship, and somehow I managed to keep my job. I still work at the same place that I served my internship, and mainly it's because nobody there cared how I showed up to work, as long as I did. And I'll stay away from the embalming jokes and all that kind of stuff. Basically what happened is that here again, I think I had this plan where now, I've got a job, I have a son, I got married, and I made a fairly decent income, and what I couldn't figure out is that I was still very unhappy. I was very, very angry. This is supposed to be the American dream, but yet I don't like this. My job wasn't good enough, my wife wasn't good enough, my son wasn't good enough. And put a couple drinks in me, and I was going to tell them and anybody else just how they weren't meeting my expectations. And if you would only do the things that I told you to do, you'd be happy, I'd be happy, and I don't understand why that doesn't, make sense to you. What's wrong with you? So you can imagine my surprise when I read pretty much that exact same logic in the book, where somebody in 1935, 39 said, we like to do this. We like to tell everybody. I was like, well, damn. Because I really believed that was the way that I was supposed to handle things. So one of my other favorite things to do was I was going to do things for people, and I was going to believe that I was doing this out of the goodness of my heart. And if I did something nice for you, you certainly are going to have to do something for me sooner or later down the line. And I really thought that that's the way that the world worked. In some circles, evidently, it still does, but that's not the circles that I choose to run in today. I can get in a lot of trouble playing in those circles. So, anyway, what ended up happening to me? Okay, so I drink just my own mother. She would, on more than one occasion, point out to me that I would drink piss from a boot if I thought it would get me drunk. And it never occurred to me that if my own mother said something like that to me, I might have a problem. And anyway, so what ended up, I was drinking. I'm a daily drinker. I love to get into arguments. I love to talk about things that I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But I love to, if I use a tone of confidence, I can almost make you think that I know what I'm talking about. If I start to sense that you're winning the conversation, I thought that if I use some $5 words that I might be able to get around something. I'd make up words, but it was fun to me. And then when it became very evident that I was just lost down and out, I was like, oh, it's okay, it's just a game, it's fun. And then, of course, all the other horrific things that I had done, it was as simple as, I'm sorry. And in the end of my drinking, I thought that I could get away with just saying, it's a story. I love to say, it's a story. In a month from now, this will be funny, in a year from now. And I didn't realize that I had said that so often that today my son still repeats that to me when he does something. He goes, oh, it'll be a story. I'm like, damn, so that's what that sounds like, just without slurring. So, what happened? Okay, so, I've only got one DUI, one divorce. There's not a whole lot of the more entertaining things that we do. But I had a friend of mine from Little League days, upstate New York, who had been hiding in Fort Lauderdale for about 12 years, and we shared a similar problem with a different substance. And I hadn't seen him for 12 years. We were living in the same state, and he contacts me and says, hey, Liam, you somehow got out of that mess, and you got a job, and you got your family, and you got a house. My girlfriend's pregnant. I need some help. Will you help me? And I'm like, oh, yeah, come on up here. I'll help you. And I really thought that I was going to be genuine about it. And, some time goes by, we started drinking like we were, 14, 15 years old again. We like to do a lot of betting with each other. We knew better than to bet with. He didn't have a job, so it was easy. We didn't bet for money, but we bet for doing really stupid things. And it was becoming, evident, wear your underwear on the outside to the bar day. Something about carrying a vacuum cleaner, ride the four-wheeler around the neighborhood naked. These are things that my wife and son are watching me do. I can't seem to grow up. And having my childhood friend there just made this is perfectly acceptable. We're going to go and we're having a good time. Why are you going to ruin our good time? And one too many good times later, it was when I came in, I thought that this was the story that was going to make all of you go, oh, you poor bastard. Wow, that really happened to you? And really what happens is you're going to figure out in just a minute, you're all going to laugh at me like that's it. But I wish I could, it was like an after-school special. On my 16th wedding anniversary, my wife ran away from me with my best friend, stole $15,000. See, that's a lie. It was $12,000. See, you were right. I would tell one lie. $12,000, and I had just bought her breasts. I learned to do that without saying any bad words. My sponsor will be happy to have that reported. I should tell your B joke now. Anyway, I thought that this was, on your 16th wedding anniversary, and all this. Well, anyway, so when all of that actually did happen, I didn't know what to do. It was like, okay, you left me for this no-job crackhead. His girlfriend's, just given birth. They got a little baby. How in the world could you, and everything was just, pointing fingers. Had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that, I was doing everything and anything that I wanted to do. I drank, the way that we drink. And I was very, very obnoxious and angry. My son would like to say that if a bug crawled over my foot, that I would instantly make the turn. He learned make the turn when we used to play golf and talk about you make the turn, you get the drinks. For him, made the turn meant that's when I became very angry. And you couldn't have made me believe it the following day that I said and did the horrible things that I did to my family, to my neighbors, to my friends that were at the house. I couldn't believe that I had said and done those things. And really, I pretended that they didn't happen. That's really what I did. A great pretender. And I would justify it in any way that I could just at that moment, usually making things up to justify it. So anyway, a month and a half of steady drinking. Some of you will recognize this out of the book, and this is where the stuff comes kind of strange to me, that it was written so long ago and yet it happened to me. A guy that I knew, he was one of those guys that wanted to run around and he wanted to pretend he was a gun dealer and a drug addict, and he liked to keep the guns in the trunk of his car, and he was one of those tough guys like that. He was surfing the internet and he found a girlfriend. And then he found God and he went away. And we'd all laugh. He'd come back every once in a while. We'd be like, Drew, how did this happen to you? She's not even that good looking. These are the things that we would say. And he talked different, he looked different, he dressed different, everything was different. We were like, what is in this for you? Doesn't matter, a little time goes by, we don't even care. Goodbye. We're going back to doing what we're doing. So he somehow hears that I am now drinking around the clock, in the dark, didn't know what time of day it was, that kind of thing. And he comes and he knocks on my door, and I opened. I've run off just about every friend that I could, and he's got a Bible under one hand and a VCR tape under the other one. And I knew what he was going to do, and he wanted to talk to me about God, and I'm like, why not? Come on in. I got to talk to somebody. And so he comes in and he proceeds to talk to me about how he used to live this way, and I knew how he used to live, and that he's cleaned up his act, and he did it by finding God. And I'm like, that's nice for you. And then he plays this videotape, something about a Hawaiian guy surfing, and he says, I'd really like for you to come to my church tomorrow. Now, I've never intentionally walked into a church for what people go to churches for. Never in my life. It's always been work-related, funerals, running away from something or someone, that kind of thing. I used to have to do that. That was fun that day. That's a different story. And I said, thank you very much, but that's not going to happen. And that was a Saturday, probably mid-afternoon, because I was just getting up. And that night I was going to go back out to the bar and I was going to do my thing. And I woke up Sunday morning and I was like, how bad could it be? The great whatever it was that I was looking for didn't happen. Whatever, I went out to the bar and I got drunk, and I woke up alone, and there wasn't a great story. The stories were over. It was just me, very uncomfortable in my own skin. And for some reason I said, I'll go to church. Why not? So I put on the kind of clothes that I thought that those guys would wear, and I went and I sat in the very back of this church. And I think it's a Baptist church, is that right? The one with just a cross. I learned there's a difference between the cross and the crucifix. I learned that in mortuary school. Anyway, so I go there, and it's one of those mega churches where they have the big video screens and all that stuff, and there's certain things that are flashing up there that I recognize, and I don't remember exactly what they were, but I recognize them from when I was in multiple rehabs. And I was just like, wow, a lot of this seems an awful lot like that AA, NA, and 12-step stuff. And then they took me into this room in the back, and they said, if you're going to go to hell, you're going to... They actually wrote hell in red and heaven in blue. They did. So I'm still a little, tipsy from the night before, and I'm very argumentative by nature, so I start, poking and prodding at him, and eventually at the end they said, okay, this guy's a jerk, let's get him out of here. And what I realized from that little experience was, these people are crazy, I need to be around people who are crazy like me. I think I'm going to go to AA. No, I didn't go right then. I went to the bar, because you know how we do. We got to go. I did. I went to the bar, and thank God that God must have been looking out for me, because I had to argue with the bar owner to get my keys back. My son was in Ireland with my mother, and what this means is I have to watch over my disabled brother. So I have this responsibility, and I have to feed him. So I have to argue to get my keys back. And I get my keys back. I get my brother to my garage. And I ran out of cigarettes. We're drinking in my garage because sometimes I'm that classy. And I got to go get the cigarettes. So I said, Jimmy, you wait here. I'll be right back. And I got into a company vehicle. And I drove to the Kangaroo. I don't know if you have Kangaroo gas station. I drove to the gas station. And there's 5 police officers there. Now, I just got to rehear this story Saturday from the actual officer. Evidently, I'm driving by, there's about 5 police officers, and they're getting ready to get off duty, so they're just kind of chatting amongst themselves, and I'm driving down the road this way, and it's like, oh shit, they see me. So if I keep going, they're going to get me. So I better play it cool, and I better pull in there like I planned on it. I think this might be what's going on in my head anyway. 8-point turn to get into where there's no cars around me. And the police officers are all getting ready to get off duty, so they called one of the guys that's getting on. His name is Ross, and they said, you're going to need to come and this guy's out of his mind and he's driving. We won't let him leave here, but you need to come get him. So this guy pulls up, and I don't know, they grabbed me, they sit me down anyway. He said upper 3s is what I blew, .386. And they were questioning, paramedics, what do we do? Anyway, they saw the license plate for the funeral home that I work at, because I'm bright. I take the company car. And this officer's best friend's dad works with me, some weird thing like that, and he called him up, and he says, hey, this guy, he works with your dad, and he just tried to run over some of my officers. Do we take him to jail, or what do we do? And they let me go. Now, the funny thing is, I just remember, I have 3 stories like that where they let me go. And anybody else ever wake up driving? It happens. Anybody else wake up in a casket? That happens too. Anyway, as I've already told you, I'm 3 years sober. On each of my anniversaries, I have a card for Officer Ross, and I make sure that he gets it, because that was pretty much my wake-up call. Now, I went home and I did my traditional drunk dialing and texting, and I'm telling everybody, I got away with it. I was at the church and I'm going to do this, and then I forgot that the carton of cigarettes was in the back of the car, and I went to go buy cigarettes because I forgot they were there, and I almost drove over the police officers, and I'm still going, because I'm still stinging a little bit from my wife running away from home with my best friend. So I got to show everybody that I'm bulletproof, and the next morning I go to work, and I went to go talk to somebody who, in my opinion, was just as low. We like to get with those real low people to make ourselves feel better. And when she looked at me, she looked down at me, and I felt it. I was beneath somebody who I kind of felt I was over. And that was it. I couldn't do it anymore. So, in the 12 years that I managed to maintain this job, there was a guy who he owned a company that we did business with, and he was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, an active member, ran the hotline. And he would come into my office and he would just look at me and just go. And he would say to me each and every time, "Let me know when you're ready." And that was it. This man did this for 12 years. He'd just walk in, give me that look of disgust, and just say, "Let me know when you're ready." That Monday I was ready. Okay? I called him. Sure enough, he came right on the spot. He picked my drunk ass up from work. Because again, nobody cared what I was doing. And he took me to my first meeting in Castleberry, a group called Happy Hour. I get the biggest kick out of that. I thought you guys were supposed to be all serious. And here you are, Happy Hour. And I went in and trembling, like the new guys do, and I'm just like this. And I smoked cigarettes, and I could barely even light a cigarette, hold the cigarette. And I went into this meeting, and I remember I just sobbed. And I said all the things that, why everybody on the planet's a son of a bitch, and I can't believe it. And I hurt, and I can't make it go away. And, by the way, at this point, I'm drinking vodka and Gatorade because I'm trying to hide the fact that, and I tell the joke, I rehydrate and dehydrate at the same time. The kids won't know because I'm so clever. And evidently, no permanent damage that I'm aware of, but I was well on my way. And this room full of strangers, they laughed at the story. They were like, "That's nothing, kid. That's absolutely nothing. You're in the right place." And what happened was, at the end of that meeting, this guy sitting to my left, he grabbed me by my arm and he dragged me out to the picnic table outside, and he says, "I'm going to be your temporary sponsor. And this is what you're going to do." And I think it's seemingly universal that the newcomer always gets that traditional little envelope, and they pass it around, the information, all the phone numbers on it. And he took that from me, and he wrote down some simple instructions. But I don't remember what order they were in, but read up to page 164, 90 meetings in 90 days. Call 3 people on this list. Call me at least once a day, or if you feel like drinking. And I was like, "That's it?" So I don't know about calling these other people, but I was wearing scrubs at the time. He took my cell phone out of my pocket, and he took that envelope, and he dialed one of the numbers on there, and he handed me the phone, and you'd think he was handing me, something. I was just like, what? I'm not talking to this guy. And he forces me to have it, and I'm like, what? What do I say? What do I say? He says, "Just tell him you're an alcoholic practicing calling another alcoholic. They'll understand." I get voicemail. I was like, "I got voicemail." He goes, It counts. So I did it. I'm like, that wasn't so hard. So then he says, he called somebody, and they passed me off, from one drunk to the next to make sure that I didn't get away. That's kind of what it looked like. And I have no idea how I managed to stay one meeting at a time, one day at a time. But my new form of drunk dialing was calling the numbers on that list. And eventually I found the people that were ready, I'm calling this guy every morning. I'm calling this guy every afternoon. I'm calling this guy on my way home. That was the hardest part, getting by the ABC. There was the habit. And then getting home, I had another habit that I was always going to, I tried my best not to put too much liquor in the drink, but the first one, for some reason, it was always acceptable to tip it a little more. And the particular red Solo cup with the iced tea, I couldn't just put tea in. I didn't know what to do. I said, "Well, shit." So I'm making my drink now, and I don't have any liquor in the house. And it was that stupid for me. I mean, I didn't know how to do anything. The thought of living the rest of my life without a drink, incomprehensible. I mean, how? Why? The best I could figure out right here, right now is I hurt. I heard a lot. I know I need to stop drinking. Alcoholics Anonymous is going to help me to stop drinking. But then you got all this stuff here. And the one thing that stands out is that word God. Oh, no. I forgot about that part, even though, it was pretty evident. I didn't know what to do with it. He says, you don't have to right now. Right now, just don't drink. Come back to the meetings. Tell your boss you're going to be gone for a little while. I can't. There's no way I can't tell my boss. I can't do the boss. He says, "You think they don't already know? Everybody knows. Don't you worry about that." Took me a while to do that. I said, "I will do everything that you tell me to do." I'm not doing that. I did. So I started working the steps, and I think it seems to be somewhat universal for the most part. I hear about it all the time. Make a gratitude list. I was so angry. I had to learn real quick about this resentment thing, and I loved some of the cliches, the slogans that I would call my son. It was during the summer. It was June. I call him. I say, "This is what I learned today," and he's like, "Hey, you should write that down." I'm like, "Shit, somebody already did." But the resentment thing, I didn't know how to let that go. Playground rules really suggested that I had to do something about this. My wife got me, my best friend got me. I didn't know what to do other than I like to fantasize an awful lot about the things that I could do. Given my profession, there's an awful lot of things that I thought I could do, and I had it all plotted, and I'm not going to do anything like that. So I got to get my act together. Anyway, so he tells me to do the gratitude list. Anytime you start to feel angry and this and that, you got to read what you're grateful for. And he says, make a list of at least 25 things. I did that. Finish this sentence. I'm powerless over alcohol because, write that a billion times, as many times as I could. My life has become unmanageable because, finish that sentence. And I'm like, it's busy work. And I'm doing it, and I'm coming back to the meeting, and I want stars and smiley faces. He didn't even look at it. He's like, good, you did it. And I remember this one guy, this happy hour group. The guy wrote his name on there as Joe Mama. I remember that. Like that's not helpful to me, sir. Anyway, he tells me this thing that everybody in AA seems to be telling me about. If you have a resentment against somebody, pray for them. And I'm like, look, even if I did believe in God, He's going to know I'm lying. I don't wish anything well for them. In fact, just the opposite. I want seriously bad things to happen to them, and I want to take part in it. This is where I'm at right now. So this Joe Mama character, he comes out to me and he says, "Listen, I want you to know something." He says, "All you have to do is pray that he go to heaven, and pray that he go tonight." I thought that was like the most clever thing in the world, and so I go home. I bet I did that for 4 or 5 days before I realized just how silly that was. And then I got it. I had no idea who or what I was praying to. To be honest with you, I still don't today. It's a different relationship today than it was in those beginning days. That I can assure you. But little by little, my anger got less frequent, shorter in duration. And I had an awful lot of other things wrong with me that I needed to address, so I couldn't let it all be consumed into this one thing. Anyway, so I have to do the dreaded fourth step. And for whatever reason, this group, by the way, was next to the local intergroup office, so there's a lot of those workbook things that tell you how to go through the steps. I know a lot of people don't like them. I've done the steps in every way, up, way, down, back, book, workbook, autobiography. I'm still very sick, so whatever you guys are doing, I hope it's working for you. But I got one of those Hazelton books, and it's telling me very specifically how to make these columns. And you got to look up resentment. What are the words in the book for resentment? And the one part says things that really burned us up, made us sore. Now, even in sobriety, I'm not too bright. I don't know exactly. I live alone now, and I got this backyard, and I figure, why not? I can be naked in my backyard. And so I lay down out in the backyard naked. Sorry for the visual. And I'm filling out this column, and it tells me in the fourth column, look for any reoccurrences, and all I can see is selfish, inconsiderate, and dishonest. And I'm like, okay, so that's me, but nowhere does it say that I'm in fear. Anyway, so it says I have to do this resentment list. And bottom, the funny thing that happened, I burned the hell out of my ass. That's what happened. So it says what burned us up, it's really sore, is doing my fourth step, doing my resentment inventory, I actually literally burned my ass. So the worst part is that I have to go to this night meeting where this woman walks in, and the guy that I'm telling this story to as to why I'm sitting so crooked on the chair, he says, "Hey, guess what Liam did?" And I'm like, "You're not supposed to say anything. What is the matter with you?" But I've since learned that you don't tell your specifics too much, like singing about the cows and things like that. Anyway, so I have to do multiple fifth steps. I switched sponsors. It just he lived too far away. He says you got to get with some guys over there and this, that, and I think with that particular sponsor, I might have gotten as far as the 9th, 8th and a half step. And then he says you're done, and I'm like, well, I don't really think I got so much out of this, but I got a lot, so I got another sponsor, and one of the great things that I got out of him is that I had to redo the fourth step, and having already done some of the bigger things, what he wanted me to do was to do this I think it's ridiculously in-depth fourth, anything that disturbs me. And he says that, you already know that, if these big things, if there's a death in the family, you lose your job, something really big that some people might think ranks high on the Richter scale, we know about those, but what we don't necessarily know to recognize is some of the more subtle things. So he says, take a typical week, start with the moment that you wake up, and anything that disturbs you. A lot of things disturb me. So I'm going through it. I'm coming up with all sorts of things. I don't like when the alarm clock goes off too early. I don't like if work calls me before I get to wake up on my own time, because now you've thrown off my prayer routine, which I have since developed. I don't like when there's not enough shampoo. Who let that? I live alone, so it's only my fault. But I don't like, same thing. There's dishes in the sink. Who did that? And there's all these little things. I'm writing down. Yeah, that disturbs me. That disturbs me. I got a whole bunch of things where I've pretty much mapped out a scenario for a lot of small things that are going to just set me wrong throughout the course of the day. Because one of the things that I had to learn from my sponsor was that there's two characters in the book. I think their names are Jim and Fred, and the one crazy guy drinks whiskey with milk. I remember thinking, yeah, I'm not as bad as him. And he had a bad day, he owned the car dealership, and he got in a fight. He had a bad day, right? And he drank. And then the other guy, I think his name's Fred, he had a great day. Everything's wonderful, kids and the family and the job and great business deal. And he drank. So that the idea behind this particular exercise, or whatever you want to call it, step work, is I need to figure out where's good day, bad day, what is it that I need to do to make sure that doesn't happen to me. And so that's what I did. I set out to figure out all those little things, and we went over each and every one of them. And I can't even remember what the number was. I know one of them was what disturbs me is number 82, and I think that might have been 83. I mean, I was up into the ones where I was just starting to get angry that I was continuously having to come up with things that disturbed me. And but again, I finally got the gist of it. That, good day. I drank on good days. One of the things, any day that ends in Y, I thought that was really clever when I was drinking. And what I learned is that today it could be any day. It could be any one thing that might be the beginning of me going back to that life that I don't want to live anymore. When I drank, I really believed that I was living the way that an adult man was supposed to live. I thought that I was responsible to go out, get a job, pay for everything. Coming up? All right. My 2-minute warning. That I just want to make sure that I do tell you the one thing that that's often on the top of my head when I talk to other people, and I don't hear it a lot. I was 2 years sober before somebody actually told me what the AA symbol meant. It's, I don't know, on our thing, it's right on the front, kind of like the presidential seal. It's right out there, and it's like Alcoholics Anonymous. Here we go. And I never knew what it meant. I don't even know if it's in the book. But if you don't know, I'd like to tell you, because I often try to remind myself and sponsees about it. It's the triangle inside the circle is one of the sides of the triangle is unity. And the unity portion of our program is designed to go against my physical allergy. My problem is a 3-part problem: physical, mental, spiritual. That's my disease of alcoholism. We all in agreement there? We'll follow along? Okay. So if I practice the unity portion of that triangle by going to meetings and taking part and hanging out with other alcoholics, the chances of me taking that first drink are greatly reduced. If I'm hanging out with you guys, I'm probably not going to take that first drink, which will set off that physical allergy, because that's what happens to me. I take one drink, and I've never taken just one drink, never. So it's my understanding that that's what that one part of the triangle is for, that unity. Okay, and there's more to it than that, but you get the idea. The other part is service. Actually, we'll do the step part first. The mental part is the fact that for some reason I can't remember what happens to me when I drink. I can think about it all I want. I can say that I'm only going to drink 2 beers. I'm only going to have a 6-pack. I'm only going to put 1 shot in there. I'm going to come home at a certain hour. All the things that I think I know that I'm doing are because I don't think straight. And what I was told is that if I needed to have some sort of a psychic change, that if I worked the 12 steps, that would happen. And if I worked them to the best of my ability, that would be the remedy for my mental problem, that I might be able to think differently. And I believed them. And then the last part was the spiritual part of the triangle, where I was told that my spirit, my will, everything that I will, everything is what I want. If I behave that way, I'm going to keep having the same problems. And the best way for me to stop behaving that way is to try to be of service to others. So in doing that, I sponsor other men, I chair meetings, literature rep, whatever it is. I try to make sure that I try to be helpful to somebody else. Within reason, I've also learned that I can be too helpful. That's another hour on that one. But so it was the physical, mental, and spiritual. That's the triangle. And then my favorite part, which, trust me, when I first came in, there's no way I would have been able to discuss this, let alone admit it. The circle that goes all the way around the triangle is an ancient symbol for God. It's infinity. No beginning, no end. And I didn't know that. And the idea being is that triangle, if I practice unity, recovery, and service, and I'm perfectly surrounded by God, that I will be okay. So if I'm ever wondering why I'm in a funk, why I'm not feeling so hot, I'm not doing the things I need to do, all I need to do is remember what that AA symbol is for, why they made it, and what it can mean to me, and remind me that that's our program, that's my disease, that's my solution, those are the things that I need to do, and I need to be surrounded by God. And